Nigeria is the giant of Africa, 230 million people, more than 4 times the size of Kenya. For a decade, it was the largest economy on the entire continent, the undisputed heavyweight. And yet, today, the average Kenyan earns nearly double what the average Nigerian earns. Global investors now pour more money into Nairobi than into Lagos. Somehow, a country a quarter of Nigeria's size has overtaken the giant. This is exactly how it happened. Bigger is not richer, biggest is not strongest. To understand the upset, you have to understand how far ahead Nigeria started. Nigeria is Africa's most populous nation by a mile. 1 in every 6 Africans is Nigerian. It sits on some of the largest oil reserves on the continent. Its film industry, Nollywood, is the second largest on earth by output. Its music defines global pop. And in 2014, when Nigeria recalculated the size of its economy, it leapfrogged South Africa overnight to become the biggest economy in all of Africa. The giant looked unstoppable, but the giant had a hidden weakness. Almost everything rested on one thing: oil. When oil money flowed, Nigeria boomed. When it didn't, the whole economy shook. And underneath the surface, one single number was quietly holding the entire illusion together: the exchange rate. For years, Nigeria propped up its currency, the naira, at an artificial price. The government insisted a dollar was worth around 460 naira. But on the street, everyone knew the real number was far worse. Then, in 2023, a new president, Bola Tinubu, made a decision that would redraw the continent's rankings. He let the naira float freely, and he scrapped the country's fuel subsidy on the very same day. The result was brutal. The naira went into free fall. From around 460 to the dollar, it collapsed past 1,500. In a single year, it lost more than 40% of its value. And because the world measures every economy in dollars, Nigeria's economy did not just slow down. On paper, it shrank by hundreds of billions of dollars almost overnight. Nigeria fell from the second largest economy in Africa to the fourth. Inflation tore through the country, peaking above 30%. The price of food, fuel, and rent exploded. In the space of a year, the giant had made itself smaller, not because Nigeria was producing less, but because the money it produced was suddenly worth so much less. The giant didn't shrink, its money did. Now look east, to a country with barely a quarter of Nigeria's population. While the naira was collapsing, something remarkable was happening to the Kenyan shilling. It did not crash, it climbed. In 2024, the Kenyan shilling became the best performing currency in all of Africa, gaining more than 20% against the US dollar. While the giant's money was melting away, the smaller nation's money was getting harder. And this is where the numbers stop lying about size and start telling the truth about wealth. Measured per person, the average Kenyan now produces around $2,100 a year. The average Nigerian, just over $1,000. On the measure that actually reflects how an ordinary family lives, Kenya is not catching up to Nigeria. Kenya has already passed it by almost 2-1. So how did Kenya build that lead? Not with oil, with code. Nearly 2 decades ago, a small Kenyan company launched a way to send money using nothing more than a basic mobile phone. They called it M-Pesa. Today, 40 million Kenyans use it, and an enormous share of the entire national economy now moves through it. Kenya did not wait for the banks to catch up. It leapfrogged them completely and became the country that taught the whole world how mobile money works. That head start turned Nairobi into a magnet that investors now call the Silicon Savannah. And in 2025, the shift became impossible to ignore. Kenya overtook Nigeria as the #1 destination for startup funding in all of Africa, pulling in almost $1 billion, nearly a third of every venture capital dollar invested on the entire continent. Nigeria, the giant, slipped to fourth place. One economy built on oil, one economy built on code. But before we crown Kenya, here is the part the clickbait always leaves out. In pure total size, Nigeria is still the bigger economy, around $250 billion against Kenya's 120. Nigeria still has 4 times the people, enormous natural resources, and a domestic market Kenya can only dream of. So who actually won? The honest answer is, it depends entirely on what you choose to measure. If you measure raw size, Nigeria is still the giant of Africa. But if you measure the things that truly decide a nation's future, how much each citizen earns, whether the currency holds its value, and where the world chooses to place its money, then Kenya has quietly moved in front. Size is only potential, stability is power, and right now, the smaller, steadier, more digital economy is winning the race that actually matters. The lesson now echoing across Africa is simple, and it should frighten every giant on the continent. Being the biggest is no longer enough. In this new African economy, the winners will not be the nations with the most people or the most oil. They will be the ones that keep their money stable, go digital the fastest, and give the world a reason to invest. Nigeria has the size, Kenya has the momentum, and the rest of Africa is now watching very closely to see which one of them actually builds the future.